Have you ever had the opportunity to experience a pumpkin pie bread pudding? If you love pumpkin pie and you love bread pudding, well, this is the best of both worlds. We are going to be serving this with a homemade salted caramel sauce, and we're going to top it off with a homemade whipped cream. Overall, this recipe is not too sweet because we're going to balance the flavors perfectly. Whether it's fall, winter, or you just want a nice pumpkin sweet treat, this recipe is for you. Let's get into making our bread pudding. I'm going to be using 1 loaf of my pumpkin bread. This pumpkin bread you can find in the description box. The bread is not 1 day old, but I will put this in the oven and I'm going to stale the bread so that it holds up nicely to our custard. Dice the bread into 1 inch by 1 inch dices. You don't have to use pumpkin bread for this recipe, you can use white bread as well. And it's going to be just as fine. After dicing the bread, you want to add it to a tray, and this option is for if you are using fresh bread. You want to pop it in the oven on low heat, turn off the oven and let it stale for about 2 hours. For our custard, I am using fresh pumpkin. I use 1.5 cups of pumpkin to my blender with 1/2 cup of water, and this gave me 1.5 cups of pumpkin puree. You can use the pumpkin pie filling in the tin. We are adding 3 small egg yolks and 2 small eggs. I'm using a little bit of orange extract. You can use a 1/4 teaspoon of orange zest or Angostura bitters, the orange flavor. You want to mix this until it's combined and emulsified, and we're going to add our other flavors to this. For the spices, I am grating 1/2 of a fresh nutmeg. You want to use fresh nutmeg as it releases the oils as you are grating it. 1 teaspoon of pumpkin spice, 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and the ginger that I used is ginger powder or ground ginger. Give it a whisk until combined. And we're going to go ahead and add our salt. The salt gives it a nice balance. We're starting to add our milk to this. I am adding coconut milk, whole milk, table cream, or if you don't have table cream, you can use evaporated milk, or you can mix powder milk and create the liquid. I'm going to go in with some condensed milk to this, and this is not a high quality condensed milk that is very sweet. This is a condensed milk on the lower end. Adding some brown sugar to this. We are not looking for sweetness in this recipe. We are looking for flavor, and you want to mix it until everything is nice and smooth and get the pumpkin well flavored and spiced. Into a baking dish, you want to add back the pumpkin bread cubes. The pumpkin bread makes a lot of difference, but as I mentioned before, if you don't have pumpkin bread, it's totally fine to use regular white bread. Distribute it. And let's add our custard over this. Pour the custard over to saturate the bread and let it get loads of flavor. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click that subscription button. And if you see the hype button, please click the hype button, which will give me points and help my content to go out to a wider audience. Pack the bread down into the custard. And then you want to drizzle a little bit of cinnamon over the top. Not too much, just a little bit. We're going to be baking this at 370 degrees Fahrenheit for 45 minutes to 1 hour. Into a saucepan, we're going to add a little bit of water, and I will leave the entire recipe in the description box. Granulated sugar, brown sugar, and you want to give it a mix until everything comes together and start creating our caramel for our salted caramel sauce. After about 2 to 3 minutes, this is what it's supposed to look like, and it's going to continue to heat up and bubble away. After 5 minutes, this is what it looks like, and we're going to mix this. And this is not very sweet because we're going to add enough salt to balance the flavors perfectly right. Once you get to the large bubbles, you know that you are getting very close. So we could go ahead now, and we are going to be adding our cream to this. If you don't have cream, again, you can use powder milk that is mixed thick or evaporated milk. And we're going to add our salt to this. Once it comes up to a boil, and we begin to see a lot of bubbles, the bubbles will start to slow down. And that's the key where you want to add some butter to this. We're adding 3 tablespoons of butter. And if you allow this to go down too much, you're going to go down into toffee, and you don't want that. So once you stir in the butter, you want to turn it off and allow it to cool down. And the more it cools, including overnight, it gets so nice and thick and very rich with a good flow. Add some vanilla, mix it in with the butter, and we are about done. Our pumpkin pie bread pudding is done, and we're going to drizzle our caramel sauce over it. But I'm not going to drizzle all of it. You can brush it on, or you can just go ahead and just pour it right over the top and saturate the top in our delicious caramel sauce. Can you imagine the taste? We're going to allow it to cool down for about 40 minutes. And then we're going to go in for a nice warm slice of pumpkin pie bread pudding. And folks, make sure that you share the channel or share the recipe. And if you intend to try the recipe, let me know down in the comment section. And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. We're going to put this on a plate. And we're going to drizzle it over with some of our caramel sauce, because that's the way how I like to serve it up. And then we're going to top it off with some homemade whipped cream. And here's a list of shout outs for today. Thank you for viewing, and I invite you to check out some more of my content, some more of my recipe videos, and see you in the next video.